It is now 2:30, and I think this is the normal group that's been going. So we want to wait one more minute just to make sure no one else joins on, I guess.
And before we begin, just a question, logistics question. Are we looking at, do you want us to look at just this coming year's request, or do we want to go further out?
Generally been doing just this year's request for an explanation.
Hey, Noel, Pat Morrissey, are we having any other sessions after this one?
No, we are not.
Okay.
And I have some photos to share, if that's permitted, if I could.
Yep, you should be able to share screen without anyone having to switch to you or anything. And Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, I do not believe you have any existing bond funds to go through.
No, I'm very poor.
They're all zeroed out on the cultural arts part. So yeah, when you're ready, if you want to go ahead and share any pictures or anything, otherwise just kind of go down through the request.
All right. Just to preface, a lot of my requests have to do with public art. Public art is a particular challenge for us to fund because it certainly doesn't fall within the lines of our regular budget. We have tried to do what we can over the years with the funds that we've been able to raise and being creative to make things happen. A lot of the projects that we've been able to do in partnership and working with opportunities and so forth. So a good share of some of those projects have been done in conjunction with the youth art team. So, and those are all wonderful, but I do also get feedback from time to time that our community deserves more than just kids art. And again, no disrespect to those projects. I think they're great. I'm super proud of them. And I think that those are wonderful. But I think also our community deserves to have a collection that's more rounded than that. I'm constantly referred to the public art initiatives in Dubuque and Des Moines, and those are two cities that often are held up as examples of whether or not the dollars and cents all add up, that they're some of the leading cities in terms of growth and quality of place and so forth. There's certainly a perception that is kind of reinforced by the public art projects that are going on there that I think support the idea that these are good places to live, that they have quality of life and culture, that they're growing and there's development in business, they're moving forward and so forth. And so I've sensed a lot of and heard a lot of desire and momentum towards trying to kind of join that club and have some of that good stuff happening in our community as well. To that end, and in conversations with Main Street Waterloo and Experience Waterloo, who would really like to see some of these initiatives move forward, we have developed a public mural committee that has been studying other mural programs, other public art programs in other cities, and putting together strategies for being able to institute, kind of grow a collection of public art, particularly with a focus on murals here in our community. So we've studied these other programs, and if I can just share, I've got some, let's see, put this on a slideshow. These are some of the murals that you will find in Dubuque. We have built a relationship with the folks in Dubuque, and they are interested in coordinating with us to bring in national and internationally known artists who have great mural experience in a kind of a cost-sharing venture. So we could get significant art in our community at a reduced cost, because we'd be able to share resources in terms of bringing people in, and taking advantage of their networks and so forth. There's kind of a movement to do kind of artist routing like you would see with bands touring and so forth, so that it can be more cost effective if they have a series of projects lined up in a particular region. But Dubuque is really known for greatly expanding their collection of murals, and it really has become an economic engine for them, driving tourism and kind of really putting a unique face on their community. So we have set goals for the next few years. Next year, we would like to complete 4 to 6 mural projects, and we are requesting $30,000 to really kickstart that initiative, which would be matched by grants and other donations. We have set priorities, and some of the top priorities would be one element of that would be some of the gateways into downtown. So we would be looking at doing several projects along Washington Street, as that is kind of the entryway point off of the Highway 218, as well as we're looking at the Walker Building, which is located right across from the Center for the Arts, which is kind of in the heart of kind of the cultural district, and it faces Highway 63 or First Street. So that's a very visible place, and it's one of the first things that people see as they're passing through or entering from that side of the downtown. We have talked about there is a kind of prominent wall on the Commercial Street parking ramp that is just down from the convention center and the hotel that's begging for a mural. We're also looking at creating a mural hub around Lafayette Street between East 4th and East 5th Streets. There's kind of those kind of twin parking lots on either side of Lafayette, and around which there is a whole line of kind of the backs of buildings. And we would propose to do a number of buildings in that space to create kind of a mural hub that we could build out from, but we could fairly easily get a concentration of significant murals in that space, so that could become an attraction. It's located close to Lafayette Street, the mural that's on the parking ramp that's over Lafayette Street. So that would dovetail with that. And another site that's been identified as a priority is the courtyard next to the mini cinema. There was a mural that was started on that wall, but it was never finished. And we have talked to a local artist, and we have a great idea for that space.
Kent,
Yes.
are you sharing a screen? Because we're not seeing it.
Oh, that stinks. Yes, I was. Let's see.
You hit share screen, then there should be another at the bottom right, another red that says share. Hit that again.
Okay, it's blue. It's blue, but
Okay.
let's see, what's on my screen is not showing up. Let me try this again. Sorry about this. I apologize.
All right, everyone, I have to go to another meeting, so.
Thanks, Tim.
Right, yeah, I can see it on my screen, but when I hit share screen, it doesn't come up on my menu.
Do you have double monitors?
Okay, there we go. Now there it is. Can you see that?
It is coming up, I hope, in a minute here. It's just dark on mine.
You shared it, but it's just a black screen right now.
Resume share. There.
Now we see stuff.
Okay, I think what's happening, I'm sorry. I think what's happening is I tried to show a slideshow, and when I start that, then it stops. So I think if I do these individually, maybe you can see them. Can you see that?
It's coming up. It's taking a while. If you just double click on it, it should come on the picture. Is yours a PowerPoint?
No.
Give it a second. Just or why don't you just click on preview on the preview one? Can you close that little? You're not seeing a picture either, are you?
Yes, I am.
See, it's not showing us the picture. It's just showing a box. It's not black, but it's like a box with lines in it. So close that out. All right, now go to one of those and right click. Now go to the pictures, well, or if you want, yeah. Can you right click on one? Still nothing.
Still nothing? Well, I can email these after. I don't think necessarily. Take my word for it. They're incredible.
Hey, so Ken, just a question on the process of a sculpture or mural if they're separate, but so let's say you decide that, or let's say that I think your one is downtown trial art sculptures. From the minute we would say, hey, yes, we're going to do this, 16,000, the bonds will be available July 1. What is the process for you to pick a sculptor, and then how long does it generally take them to make the product?
Well, every project is different. This particular project, we have an artist already in mind just because we are aware of an artist who is local, and we can get a better value for our dollar by using someone that's locally invested. We're fortunate to have one of the top public art schools in the country at the University of Northern Iowa. They have a public art incubator, and a huge percentage of the students that are in their sculpture program end up specializing in public art, and they go on to be some of the most actively working public artists in the country after graduation. So we have an artist who is very interested in this project. She is interested in building her portfolio, but her work is incredible. She submitted some really incredible designs for this project, and she would do it at the bare minimum. And so we're talking about a total of, our aim is to get at least 4 of these sculptures, and we could actually build on from there. She could build them, in phases, so they wouldn't all have to be done at the same time. The goal is to have at least 1 or 2 completed by RAGBRAI in July, so they could serve as gateways for the celebration into downtown, and then they could be permanently installed. Our plan is to locate sites kind of around the perimeter of downtown, kind of gateways into the downtown trail loop to kind of signal entry into our great bike amenities in the downtown, the great trail system that we have here in that great hub. And these would be iconic of the great trails that we have in our community and so forth, and can just, like I say, welcome people in. they would be made in part using recycled parts from bicycles that have been collected. She's looking at including integrating plexiglass into some of the pieces, colorful plexiglass pieces into some of the wheels and so forth. So there'll be a color element, and looking at integrating solar lighting so that they'll light up at night as well. And I think that just really enhance the downtown and so forth. And again, the prices that you see that we're budgeting for this whole project, all of these, is probably what you could expect normally to pay for one, if you could even get it for that. So again, trying to be as cost effective as possible. And I think we're really poised to really be able to move ahead with this as long as we can get the funding to do so. And
Just
again,
gotta talk about
I have some really good tentative conceptual plans, and I can send those around as well.
And so for most of the projects that you're looking at, is there an artist, I guess, pinpointed for each one, or is there going to be a selection process for some of them? And is that, I'm just trying to understand how that works. It's kind of new for us at the CIP too. Would the Public Art Commission do that, and then eventually it would be forwarded to council for approval?
Yes, and each project would be different, and that's a part of that mural committee and their plans, because there's different kinds of projects. You know, there's community-based projects, and then there's competitive projects and so forth that are larger scale projects, and then there are those where you're taking advantage of an artist who's coming into the area and so forth. But some of those would have an artist that was particularly selected because of their suitability for that project. Others, there would be a selection process that would be a competitive process where artists were encouraged to submit proposals and so forth. And then those would be reviewed based on the particular criteria of that project. And sometimes, depending on the funding structure of some of those, some of them ultimately we would hope that and expect that some property owners would contribute to those as well. In those cases, the artist selection would be negotiated, taking into consideration kind of the parameters of the business owners' project interest, their interests and their feedback.
Kent, you mentioned that Experience Waterloo was very interested in this. Are they going to be a partner in funding?
They have not committed a specific amount, although they have expressed an interest in potentially helping fund some projects related to the murals and public art, and they are a partner in, or they are represented on that mural committee. So I don't have a specific commitment for a particular project, but as we get projects finalized, yeah, we would expect that they would help fund at some level.
Okay, thanks.
In terms of the relocate and reinstall public art sculptures at the center, we have a number of pieces of sculpture, some that are in various locations, some that are currently in storage, some that may be in need of some renovation. But as our campus is kind of getting redeveloped, we're looking at moving some of those and clustering them between the art center and the river, and creating kind of a certain amount of density there to create a sculpture court, and kind of cluster those together. So those are sculptures that we already have. It's just a matter of pouring new pads for them and relocating those so that they can be kind of packaged and promoted as a sculpture garden, if you will.
Is there annual maintenance on sculptures or murals or anything like that, or is it more of a 5-year program? I'm just kind of curious as to.
Yes, there is certainly a need for maintenance on sculptures, and we do not have a maintenance fund. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm asking for money for some of the necessary maintenance projects. A lot of the maintenance on those has been deferred. We've tried to be careful about the public art projects that we've taken on, and tried to choose some that will minimize the amount of maintenance that's required. As we talk about go back to the bike arches, this artist has agreed to do any maintenance that's required without charge. So just as one example, but there are certainly, we do need to work towards having funding to keep these sculptures maintained. And in fact, that's why some of the sculptures that we have are not currently out. We do have, as I mentioned, the Public Art Incubator at the university. So we do have resources to have some work done locally at a fairly modest cost, because they have the facilities there and they can have students do the work under direction of professional professors. But one of the pieces that really does need attention is Cityscape, which is the red gateway on Lafayette between East 4th and 5th. Main Street Waterloo has identified that as a priority for some of their efforts. They are willing to do new landscaping around that and install lighting. But if they're going to do that, it would seem that the piece should be in good condition. So we did put together costs for that, and the cost to do that would be that we would need would be $18,000. So that is on my request for this year. And then the final item that is on the request for this year would be a security system upgrade and replacement. Part of our system has been here as long as I have, which is 25 years. We did add on to that with the addition of the youth pavilion. It has reached an age where that system is fairly glitchy. We do not have full coverage due to kind of the limitation of that system. So basically we don't have video coverage of the Phelps Youth Pavilion galleries, at least a large part of those. We don't have any coverage of outdoors in our parking lot or at the amphitheater. And the cameras that we have are, because they're older technology, when we have had incidences, the quality is such that the video hasn't been really helpful in terms of being able to identify any potential perpetrators and so forth. And just, like as I say, it's glitchy. So we have even had times where there will be gaps in the recordings and so forth. So that's something that's kind of overdue, and we really need to get that up to date. The good news is that the technology has gotten much better since it was installed. So much higher quality cameras are much less expensive than the cameras that we purchased back in the day. So I think we can get a really useful system in place that will really improve the security here for our collection, for our patrons, for our staff, and as I say, kind of really increase the coverage of that.
And Kent, I have a question. That sculpture that you're talking about on Lafayette,
Yeah.
I thought Main Street owned that.
No, they do not own that.
Huh.
I think it was originally, Michelle, was originally put in with a Main Street grant. But
Yeah.
I think the city may have taken ownership of it being in the right of way as part of that. I'm not real sure on that, but I know that it was originally as a Main Street grant.
It was a Main Street grant, and yeah, we worked with them on coordinating with the artist and so forth. Yeah, it doesn't belong to Main Street. They own the parking lot.
Yeah, I remembered that. And for some reason, I thought I remembered back at the time that the sculpture was actually theirs too. Okay.
We could definitely repaint it green and yellow.
Well, actually, that was considered at the time because our choices were any of the colors that the companies that did work for John Deere, for the tractor companies, had and used on a regular basis. So it was red, green, or yellow, I think, for our choices. If John Deere will give us money, maybe we'll change the color.
I think Deere's pretty fussy about what they put their colors on is the issue, right?
Oh yes, and they're very fussy about the particular color as well.
Yes.
But I respect that.
Well, I do too. I'm just saying that's not necessarily an easy thing to do.
And again, I apologize. I failed the test here of sharing these items. I have photos that I can certainly send for anybody that's interested.
Yeah, Kent, if you want to email those, we can email them out to the group as well, and so they can kind of see those. Anyone else have any more questions for Kent? If not, I think we are done for the week. Thanks everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.